What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tyrant's Mythic Difficulty walkthrough for Halo 4, aka LASO, also known as Legendary All Skulls On. And today we are doing the mission Infinity, brought to you by Infinity. Infinitely frustrating. This is probably the hardest mission in the game, or second hardest, depending on how you look at it. Composer competes with it pretty well, and walk to this first clearing, and oh my god. 3 Promethean Knights, do not worry about them, they will teleport away. Trade out your assault rifle for a much more useful DMR, keep your Magnum as a sidearm, and run down here past these crawlers, ignore them completely. Run up here to these tree branches, and you can skip this entire battle that's going on below. Just a bunch of crawlers and a very menacing suppressor Promethean Knight. Now you're going to jump down here, whip out your pistol, save that DMR ammo, and take out these 2 crawlers that will spawn instantly. Now you want to park it right here because there is a binary crawler right here. Keep an eye on where that binary rifle lands, and you could technically rush to that location right now, but what I like to do instead is hang back here, take out 3 of these other crawlers, and that will cause the Watcher to retreat back behind the tree, definitely increasing your chance of survival. So rush forward here, you're going to switch out your Magnum for the binary rifle, and do this as quickly as you can because at this point you're timed. Run up behind this guy, try to backsmack him, sometimes I get the assassination instead, and then very quickly take out these binary crawlers. We're trying to beat the spawn. You don't want Cortana to talk before you're done with this. Jump down really quickly. Run past here. If you beat the spawn, then you don't have to worry about this knight that typically spawns right here. At this point, you should now have a DMR and a binary rifle. Go ahead and use your DMR right here. Get rid of this IF tag. That way you don't have to deal with the waypoint. And a bunch of crawlers are going to spawn over here in this little dip. Take your time. Take them out. These guys annoy the heck out of me. They're like the skirmishers in Halo Reach. They jump around everywhere. Clearly they did not take their ADD medication today, so we're just going to take them out very quickly. Run up here to this branch, get that binary rifle out. Well, not quite yet. Keep your DMR handy. You've got 1 crawler sitting right here, and I missed him. Alright, we've got 2 more crawlers over here. They are always in these locations. Their spawns are very predictable. Got those 2. This guy is just kind of sitting on his perch, so we'll take him out. He's the one who was originally on the tree. Switch to your binary rifle and take out this guy right here. It only takes 2 binary shots to kill a Watcher. I had missed the second one, went to the third for follow-up. And go ahead and take out the crawlers down here. You've got 1 Promethean Knight that will lob 1 or 2 grenades at you. Then he will teleport off into the distance out of range. At this point, this allows you to sit back and clean up the crawlers a little bit. Come down here, you have another crawler on this tree. Jump down again. You have another crawler just through the brush right here. Don't even have to see him. I know exactly where he is. We have 1 left somewhere. There he is. And again, the goal here is to get the knight alone. He's far more predictable with his grenade throws. Jump back here in the middle of his his animation and go for that assassination. I found that it helps if you look up a little bit and if you assassinate him as you continue to make your way around. Now pick up his light rifle and his auto sentry. So you should have a DMR, a light rifle, and an auto sentry at this point. Switch to your light rifle because the bullet spread is a little bit better. You've got 2 crawlers right here and 2 more just beyond the bend. So shoot this unscoped. Much better for headshots, especially with those annoying crawlers. Once you come up here, grab the DMR ammo, then use the IF tag, and then another DMR will spawn. This pretty much ensures that you'll have full DMR ammo for Rally Point Bravo, and believe me, you'll need it. You do want to try to conserve your DMR ammo. Now I'm going to take a second here. Whoop. Friendlies. And I can get friendly. Now, I should take a second here to note that before you try this mission, you really do want to be proficient with the Promethean backsmack. You're going to need it here more than anywhere else in the game. I recommend practicing on either Forerunner or Midnight, since they are less Promethean backsmack intensive, if that's even a word. And you've got 2 crawlers immediately here. Go ahead and take them out. Switch to your light rifle. Take out the 2 that approach over here. And then what I like to do is run up this side area and go for the Watcher. Now, I'm not sure if this is 100% true or not, but it seems like when I take out the Watcher first, I end up dealing with less crawlers. So he may end up spawning additional ones. I could be completely wrong, so don't quote me on that. I'm just saying. Now, your goal here is to get the Knights alone. There are 2 of them. One will typically be closer to you while the other hangs back where the Watcher was. And let your allies die. I know that sounds cold, but they tend to be a bit of a distraction to the Promethean Knights, which is a bad thing if you're trying to go in for that assassination. They'll be less likely to dodge, and I should say more likely to dodge and less likely to throw grenades. So again, that's why you want to get these guys alone, so you can predict their animations just a little bit more. Again, move around him as he's trying to use that grenade. It helps if you're on slightly higher ground just because they are taller than you. And go for that assassination. Backsmacks are actually more preferable. So those 2 fell pretty easily. If you weren't able to get a light rifle or auto sentry before, now is the time to do it. Both these knights have light rifles. I think at least one of them has an auto sentry. I don't know if both of them do. And I'm pretty sure there's another crawler around here somewhere. Oh, there he is. Come here, buddy. Now, before you proceed past this area, go ahead and make sure you're full with both the DMR and the light rifle. You will definitely need it in the next area coming up. The holdout zone is one of the most challenging parts of this mission. So we're going to do another little skip. Crouch jump up here, crouch jump again, and one last time. And that will allow you to skip the spawn of this knight and his crawler buddies. And now we approach the holdout zone. This is really kind of a 3-phase battle. This is phase 1 right now. It's the easiest. You'll have a bunch of crawlers rushing your allies. Again, let them die. They'll be guarded by 1 Watcher, and pretty soon a Promethean Knight's going to advance as well. Now, it doesn't really matter what order you take these guys out in. I prefer the Watcher first, just because he tends to protect his buddies. And then we're going to save the Knight for last. You know, on a side note, I've noticed this seems to be the only Mythic mission where Promethean Crawlers have the bolt shots. You know, typically they're upgraded in the other missions, so they all have suppressors, but here, they actually have bolt shots. It's the only place I've seen Crawler majors with bolt shots. Kind of interesting. So I'm going to try to... and they ran off. Let's see if maybe I can... oh, there's another one. Okay, so we're going to... oh, and they came back. Oh, such a good doggy. Okay, no, retreat. Because they're protecting the knight, causing his movements to be slightly different if he was alone. So hang back, take these guys out. Usually you're going to have 2 or 3 crawlers that will continue to hang back and will not advance. Usually back behind those crates. Okay, so again, we're just going to slowly wait for the perfect distance, and right about here, go for that back smack. Every time you do this, your shields will recharge, so it is definitely a pro here. And there is another binary crawler. Most people tend not to notice him. And the reason for that is because he's actually stuck in the geometry. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but so far I have never been killed by him, and I've never seen him take a shot unless he's dying. So with these guys gone, again, make sure you are full on both light rifle and DMR ammo. There is an extra DMR right here. And now we need to trigger wave 2. This one tends to be a little bit more complicated. So run up this tree right here. About right here, turn around and go back. I've seen RC Master do this a little bit differently. I consider this method to be quite a bit safer. Temporarily trade out your light rifle for the railgun, and the Watchers up here are going to spawn 2 defense turrets. It only takes 1 railgun shot and 3 follow-up DMR rounds to take out one of these turrets. So you're saving your ammo, you're not putting yourself in harm's way because you're taking them out from a distance, and of course they will not move. You only get 2 rounds for the railgun here, so after you have launched them, go ahead and pick up your light rifle again. So you should be once again armed with a DMR and light rifle. And now we're going to go for the Watchers. Do not kill the crawlers here, because this will spawn a second Knight. We want to save him for later. So that's 1 Watcher down. See if we can get this guy. Oh, he took off like a rocket. Come on. Come back down. So right now we have several crawlers, this Watcher's about to be toast, and 1 Promethean Knight. You're going to fight a total of 2 here, but you can somewhat control the spawn of the second one. So we can get this guy alone. So once again, come back to your tree. We're going to go all the way to the other side. Right up to this door. And going around that, and then this Knight will spawn right here. You can approach this from either angle. I'm going to see if I can get him. Nope, not quick enough. Now, that's a perfect opportunity for me to show you how, if you fail the assassination, quickly bounce away and sprint. Bunny hop. That definitely helps. So we're going to come back down here. Back to a safe distance, and with only 1 Promethean Knight remaining, and this guy can be a little bit tricky, we can now take out the crawlers at our leisure. You can take them all out. I highly recommend it. Get this Knight alone. This guy can be a little bit tricky. He does not always go into his grenade and throwing assassination. You sort of have to coax him a little bit. Oh, and he has a buddy left. Alright, so I'm going to play this one by ear just a little bit, see if this works, and no. So again, if you miss the assassination, don't fret, just quickly bounce away and sprint. I probably risked a little too much there, trying to get that crawler with the Knight in tow. But now we know for sure that it's just us and him. Now there's more DMR ammo up there as well. You're going to want to keep an eye on that when you exit the holdout area. So let's try this one more time. There we go. All the Knights are down. Take the opportunity to fill up on DMR ammo, your light rifle ammo, and make sure you've got the auto sentry as well. You may or may not need it, but it does help just a little bit. So now go ahead and activate this. Here's where things start getting tricky. You're going to have to spawn camp these guys. There are 6 Knights total, and you have to know when and how to trigger their spawns. Jump down here towards this little light arrow. That's the way I describe it. Get that first Knight. Quickly run over here to the rock where the second one will spawn. I should also note, actually I will in just a second, because Knight number 3 is going to spawn when you kill 1 crawler. Look up. Jump very quickly, because if you don't, he will spawn a Watcher, but stay at the base of that incline and look up. That's 3 Knights down. Now travel up here to the tree, make your way up to the top, and now you want to kill all but 3 crawlers. Knight number 4 is going to spawn when there's only 2 remaining. So while we do this, I want to let you know that if you assassinate that first Knight rather than backsmack him, which would have been a better option to be honest with you, it actually slightly delays the spawn of Knight number 2. So it's a lot easier to line up your shot. But even if you don't, for some reason that Knight seems to get Promethean ADD. It's an armor ability you really don't want. And he'll just kind of ignore you for the first second or two anyway. But if you want to feel just a little bit safer, assassinate that first Knight instead of backsmacking. Then you'll backsmack the second. And you'll run to the base of that little incline where the crate is for the third. Now again, as soon as you see the ripple of his spawn, that's when you want to jump up and land that assassination. That way, you will not have to worry about spawning a Watcher by mistake. So now that we're down to 3, just a mere 3 crawlers, go ahead and approach this area right here. I'm going to go ahead and spawn an auto sentry just to sort of keep them distracted, because they can try to flank you otherwise. Wait about right here. This angle gets a little bit tricky. I'm not going to lie, I have a hard time with Knight number 4. but it's right about here. Take out this guy, and right on this little edge here is about where he spawns. Quickly take him out, because if you wait too long, he will spawn a Watcher, not as quickly as night number 3. So now we're going to backtrack to this tree right here, where you have a very good vantage point of not just the crawlers over there near the top of the area on the far side, but also where the Watcher is going to spawn back there. You want to kill at least 3 of these, or up to 3 of these guys, but look each time you kill one, because sometimes he can come sooner. Alright, 3 are down. That means he is guaranteed to come. Use your light rifle to take him out. Aim for the tiny face to get him in just 2 or 3 shots. That's the easiest way to do it, and that prevents him from spawning additional crawlers. At this point, come back to this location right here. Keeping an eye out where I am. It's not too far from where night number 4 spawns. And you can just take the crawlers out at your leisure at this point. Use the auto sentry to help you out as well. There's night number 5. Went in for a little bit of extra flare there. Jump up here to this little incline, and we're going to deal with night number 6. Go ahead and camp. You should have full shields at this point, so don't worry. All 6 knights are down. That is one of the most frustrating parts of this mission. So again, if you're having trouble, go back, watch it, pause, look at where I'm standing, and you should be okay. 3 final crawlers will come from this back area. Again, it shouldn't be a problem for you at this point. Even if they manage to get a few shots off of you, you have full shields. Now go ahead and load up on DMR ammo again. Doesn't look like another one spawned there. That DMR spawn tends to repeat itself a few times throughout the course of this battle. You also have additional DMR ammo up here. I try to save this until I'm about to leave to guarantee that I have full DMR and light rifle ammo going into this next zone, which is the next really trying part of the mission. This is called the landing zone. And unfortunately, while you don't have to fight quite as many enemies here, you can't spawn camp them really either, so it's a little bit more complicated. You've got to do the grenade backsmack with at least 2, if not more. You can toss a grenade here if you want to sort of stun him. It doesn't really make a difference. EMP grenades work best.
They're working with the Prometheans?
And at this point, you're just going to stay here at the mouth of the cave for a little while, and you start picking off grunts and jackals. Try to avoid getting plasma pistoled if at all possible. There is a jackal that is notorious for doing that over there on the right-hand side, along with a grunt and a very deadly needler. Remember, they can combo kill in this game. And those needlers are dangerous. Now, typically, they're going to spawn a Watcher back there as well. You've got 2 Promethean Lancer Knights hanging back there. Typically, they spawn 1 Watcher. Sometimes the Watcher dies for some reason. I haven't really figured out what the trigger for that is yet, but go ahead and take him out so he doesn't support his buddies or end up unintentionally resurrecting one of his Promethean Knight creators. Use a auto sentry right here to distract a Jackal Ranger. I still call him Marksman personally. That way he doesn't take shots at you. That carbine can pepper your shields down pretty quickly. And we're going to once again focus on just the Covenant. It's just grunts and jackals here. Nothing overly formidable, and once you take out that initial wave, they'll typically hang back. Now, once Cortana says her little line, Wave 2 is going to pop up. You're going to get 3 grunts and 3 jackals. The grunts will be dropped off on the left, the jackals on the right. You can take out the grunts as they're coming down. You can do the same with the jackals if you choose, but if you kill the grunts first, typically the jackals will wander over there to the left. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, that was one of the other grunts. Try to watch out for that Phantom's main gun. There's grunt number 1, number 2. There's a jackal. Grunt number 3. Should have at least 2 jackals left. Not sure what that other one is. The Phantom will come when there's only 2 enemies, or 2 Covenant enemies remaining. So the battle wagons are spawning here. Now you've got 4 knights to deal with. Now typically they'll hang back for a bit, or at least until you've managed to kill all the Covenant. The only knights you really have to kill are the battle wagon knights. If you do this, the Pelican will show up early and you can ignore the last two. But it doesn't always work out that way. Now, this is what I find frustrating. Now, a lot of people tend to use the mouth of the cave as their point to try to trap these knights. I don't always recommend it, though, because if you need to escape and you need to retreat back into the cave, it becomes very difficult. I prefer to fight them out in the open, just like this. I feel like I'm in a lot more control if I do that. I have a lot of room to run if I need to. And the biggest obstacle I found here, and what has caused me to curse so much, I think my neighbors think I'm a psychopath, is a lot of times you can have, the knights can double up on each other. It becomes a lot more difficult to take them out then. Separating them can be a challenge. I notice if you move back and forth here, it does help a little bit, but it's not always a guarantee. So we're going to use this opportunity. Oh, missed. And oh jeez, almost bit the big one there. But yeah, peek out in the cave first just to make sure there isn't another knight hiding around the corner. They like to do that. They like to sneak up on you. So I see both of them sort of camped there. I'm going to see if I can try to separate them. You do not want to take on two knights at one time. It is not a smart idea. Especially if you accidentally assassinate one. Oh, you are so dead if you do that. They will totally grenade lob the hell out of you. It's not friendly. Okay, so the battle wagon's over there right now. There's only two knights left because we've already killed one battle wagon and one lancer. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. Got that guy. Actually, there were three knights left. I forgot. I missed the other one. I got so excited that I remembered that I managed to get the battle wagon without a problem, which is a rare thing. Usually it's the lancers that I have the easier time with. So we're going to set this up. I have a lot of space to move here, so I'm going to take advantage of it. Line this shot up. I don't like the fact that he's on the top or apex of that little rock right there, but I got him anyway, and I'm feeling pretty relieved right now. I think my heart's going a mile a minute. Give me a second. Where's the asthma spray? Ah, okay. So, now that both battle wagons are dead, and all the Covenant are dead as well, the Pelican will show up. You do not have to kill the last knight. It does not matter what ammo or armor ability you have at this point, because it's going to reset. Yes, sir. Hit rally point Charlie anyway. You know what? Screw you. I could ignore you, but nah. All four knights in the landing zone. Slayed by Tyrant. Welcome to Rally Point Charlie. You will start out with the assault rifle, and DMR is your secondary weapon. The suggested route here is that you take the Scorpion tank. Don't do it. It's a trap. Instead, come up here. See this little branch that's kind of sticking out? Crouch jump up here. Follow the edge. It's a little bit thin, so be careful. On top of this crashed piece of infinity, jump down here, and this will allow you to basically despawn the ghosts up ahead, as well as all the enemies in the towers. Basically, if you do this, the only enemies you have to fight here are the Wraith at the end, a pair of ghosts, and just some infantry. That's it. Now, I know a lot of people say, use the Scorpion, use the Scorpion. Well, getting that thing is hard. Now, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about that opening tank area. Some people can get it better than others, but I can tell you right now, personally, I get killed more times by the Wraith than not. Would not recommend it. At this point, you are past the worst part of the game. I should say the worst part of the mission. No, it gets heavier. You're past the worst part of the mission, so you really don't want to screw it up at this point. And I'm going to stress this quite a bit from here on out. So now I've got my DMR ready. We're going to hijack the Wraith here. Now, we've got blind activated. One of the things I like about the Wraith versus the Scorpion is the Scorpion shoots in the dead center of the screen, which is different from where your gun shoot if you're just on foot, whereas the Wraith tends to aim down a little bit more, just like your standard weapon. Now this Phantom's going to drop off two ghosts. Well, he tried to drop off one, didn't work out too well for him. The Phantom tends not to be very aggressive here, which is kind of cool. So you really don't have to worry about the ghosts. And at this point, we're going to move forward again. Now, you're pretty durable in the Wraith, but, you know, you've got a Wraith up ahead as well. I'm going to check out this scenery for a second. Looks pretty cool. I'm liking how Infinity appears to be in pieces, but later it takes off anyway. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. So, moving forward, at this point you have 1 Wraith, 2 Ghosts. So I guess total it was 4. Math was never my strongest subject. Nickels and dimes, damn it. And so I tend to use the rock over there as cover. I want to see if I can lure the Wraith out just a little bit. Typically by default, they're engaging your allies over there at the entrance of Infinity. And this ship took a beating. I bet Progressive hates you right about now. So, one of the things I love about the Wraith as opposed to the Scorpion is it's very easy to strafe back and forth. So, especially if you're doing distance fighting, it's a lot harder to get killed unless you just happen to drive right into it. Trust me, it does happen. I live in Virginia. So once the Wraith is down, you only have to worry about the 2 Ghosts and the infantry. Again, the Ghosts really aren't much of a threat to you unless you just sit there and do nothing. And if that's the case, DMV wants to talk to you. Now you've got 2 elites over here. Actually, 1 by default. You only have to worry about the second if you accidentally flip the Ghost over. I should note that it's a lot easier to kill elites when they are piloting Ghosts. So, get back in your Ghost, buddy. Come on, do it for Tyrant. There we go, that's better. So now, taking him out will go by a little bit faster. You only have to deal with the 1 elite who will dodge back and forth like crazy. I do not want to get too close to him because guess what? He is a warrior elite and he does throw grenades. Those grenades can hurt. Just as you would imagine. I don't want to get too close to that grunt. I noticed that he's got his plasma pistol charged, which means that he can EMP me. And that came out completely wrong. So now we're going to go ahead, and now that the elite is down for the count, I can be a little bit more aggressive here with this final grunt and jackal. There we go, that's much better. And now we're going to go ahead and take the Wraith inside. Now, the entrance up here is going to be to your left. You're going to have 2 hunters. You're going to have a couple of grunts with fuel rod guns. Take out the closest enemies first, but also be mindful of the elite with a carbine. If you aren't careful, he can actually headshot you. Or at least I have been killed before and my tank has been still alive, so I'm assuming that they shot the hatch off. And that would be very frustrating. So I'm going to worry about these grunts first because they're within close range and they got fuel rod guns. Again, this is one of the things I love about the Wraith is it's so easy to move back and forth, left and right. You do not have this advantage in the Scorpion. Not without some sick driving skills at least. Now typically your allies, you know, sitting there, not even using their guns, will be a nice distraction and hopefully they won't die. But if they do, yeah, well, the UNSC thanks you for your service. Here's a ticket to Denny's. And believe me, I've eaten out every night this week. You know, that did not come out the way I had planned it to. I've eaten dinner out every night this week. Now, the hunters do take quite a bit of hits. Personally, here I do like using the Wraith just because you were so close to the enemies and it just feels easier to hit them. I do tend to make the carbine elite just a slight priority, and I think I just splattered him with the crate. Just because, again, he does have the possible headshot capacity. Now, you do have more fuel rod grunts up here, so be very careful. Most of them just have plasma pistols, though, along with their jackal buddies, so it's not that big of a deal. But, yeah, see, there he goes. And it's hard to tell from this distance exactly what they're armed with. See, we had 2 fuel rod grunts there, and he just kind of bounced off the wall. More fun than a barrel full of grunts. Okay, now that the enemies are all dead... Whoa, okay, there was one more. I don't know what he had. I don't know what he was packing. But I did not want a piece of that. So at this point, there is only 1 stage to the mission left. Well, technically... Yeah, I consider it 1. And that is the Mantis. So you're upgrading again.
Can we break the connection?
The Mantis is a cool new vehicle, brand new to Halo 4. It is a mech. I love mechs. And they fit surprisingly well in the Halo franchise. This thing's a lot better to use than the Scorpion. I love the way that it moves around. You just have a lot of availability with it. You have 3 weapons. You've got your rocket launchers over there on the left-hand side. You've got your machine gun on the right, and you've got this hydraulic stomp that just destroys what's ever underneath it. Not quite so much on Mythic, but on other difficulties, absolutely. Check this bad boy out. Dear Santa. So we're going to hop inside this thing. It takes roughly 1 clip of your machine gun and 1 clip of your rockets to demolish this door. It should be noted that there are rocket launchers beside you as well, and I have seen a couple of people use the side passages as a way to get to this area a little bit faster. However, it's also a lot riskier. It can be done, it's not that big of a deal, but again, you've already surpassed the hardest part of the mission. Do you really want to screw up here when it's so easy to succeed at this point? You are pretty tough in the Mantis, and I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty mad at these knights right now. They've handed my butt to me so many times, I lost count. I want to do some butt handing myself. And why can't I not say the right thing today? But I love that hydraulic stomp. Ugh. Again, on Mythic, you really can't do much with it. Hang back, try to take out these guys one at a time. The Knights go down surprisingly fast against the Mantis, even on Mythic Difficulty. I guess the weapons are just that powerful. Now, over here on the left, or the right-hand side, you've got 1 defense turret, 2 grunts with fuel rod guns. Even if you destroy the bridge with them on it, that does not necessarily guarantee their death. So definitely keep an eye out. As a side tip, what you might want to do is use the catwalks above to take out the grunts with the DMR. And you could even go as far as meleeing that first turret and using the rocket launcher to take out the second. I want to make absolutely sure that guy is dead, because with the luck I've had with Infinity so far, don't want to take any chances. And that Watcher's being kind of an ass, so I'm going to take him out now. But you really shouldn't have a whole lot of trouble here. This Mantis run is a lot easier than the one on Composer. You're mainly just dealing with infantry here until you get outside. And even then, it's still mostly infantry. Don't you even think about resurrecting that freaking knight. So again, just hang back. They really don't have any devastatingly powerful weapons. The worst that you come across is just being blindsided by the fuel rod grunts. And there are plenty along the way, but you also have plenty of heads up, plenty of distance. And really, they can only come at you from one direction. So, I mean, you'd have to be the most distracted kid in the world at this point not to be able to focus. And that says a lot coming from me. Oh, look, a quarter. So we're going to get this guy right here. I'm going to see if I can close the distance a little bit quicker just so you can see how fast this guy goes down. Look at that. We're just melting him with these guns. I feel so powerful right now. I'm so big, and you're so little. Oh. Who's the boss now? So you've got 2 defense turrets up here. You've got 1 more hanging around in the back. And again, just take your time. Now, when you advance a little bit closer, those knights are going to teleport backwards. Because now they're afraid of you. They're not stupid. course, now it's machine versus machine instead of machine versus man-machine. So as you can see, the Knights teleported up there because they do not want to take any chances. They want to try to get an elevated advantage. And so they teleport back down to the ground level. Okay. Well then. Feel the wrath of my mighty gun. I hope you like my boom cannon as much as I do, because you're about to get blown away by it. So just keep mowing these guys down. A little further ahead, you're going to have more fuel rod grunts to worry about, but again, you've got plenty of heads up here. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. And fortunately, unlike the Scorpion tank, the Mantis is pretty good about moving it side to side. So even if you see fuel rod rounds coming at you, it's still pretty easy to dodge them. And of course, the Mantis shield is not affected by Black Eye. Probably should have mentioned that a little bit earlier. Yeah, I'm just going to nuke this bridge for the heck of it. So don't be afraid too much. Like I said, you're pretty durable. You only need to worry if A, the Chief has lost shields, which is why I'm kind of hanging back a little bit instead of being extremely aggressive, because this is so close to the end of the mission, and I'm going to need my shields for the Mantis holdout. So I'm just kind of hanging back a little bit. When your Mantis starts getting weak, it will start burning. So it's a pretty good indicator that maybe you should slow down a little bit. But again, I'm just going to kind of take it easy. Even though I know I'm pretty powerful in this thing. Well, I am bloody massive, aren't I? I'm just going to hang back just a little bit. Be a little bit more aggressive to this Knight, just because he doesn't really have any backup. You've got more fuel rod grunts up ahead. Additional jackals. That fuel rod just bounced right off the side. And 2 more Knights showed up. But again, not that big of a deal. They just have suppressors. Not pressing at all, is it? In less chaotic environments, it's pretty easy just to close the distance with them with the Mantis instead of hanging back. They really can't harm you that much, especially if all they have are suppressors. We've got a couple more turrets to worry about over here. Just a few more infantry. And once you've taken care of that turret up ahead, you also have a group of apparently armorless grunts that just come right out of that elevator. I've seen people run in there and just start meleeing them, but I've also seen some people try that and then get grenaded like crazy. It just seems like a really silly way to die at this point. Again, I'm going for the safer method here. It is the most repeatable one. And at this point, I just want to lay waste and massacre everything I see because of everything they've done to me up until this point. Sorry. In Soviet Russia, Mantis squash you! Ah, there you go. Now we're at the holdout area. Now I know that you saw me handle this a little bit differently from my legendary guy. Basically, I hung around the Mac gun, and the potential here is pretty good because what could end up happening is you despawn a wave and a half of enemies. The drawback, of course, is that you are right there out in the open. I'm going to check real quick, make sure I've got shields, and I do. That's great for the holdout area. But yeah, so we're going to take a slightly different approach. Now, I've also seen RC Master here go to the far left side for cover, but one of my buddies, Old and Achy, actually turned me on to an even better technique. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't been killed this way yet, so it's pretty solid. And I'll explain that in a second. So go ahead and commandeer the Mantis. If you have a rocket launcher, go ahead and take out those 2 jammers right there. Otherwise, take them out as quickly as you can and start moving over here towards the right-hand side. We're going to use this right side missile launcher as our main cover. For whatever reason, the enemies just don't seem to know how to assault it correctly. So I'm going to be very mindful of these guys. You're fighting elite rangers at this point. alongside their Grunt and Jackal buddies. Watch out for the Banshees. These guys can definitely wreck your day. Remember, it only takes a couple of direct fuel rod shots to really send your Mantis burning. And I don't think there's any preparation age strong enough for that. So we're going to go ahead and take out these jammers right here. We got one more right here. I think one in the center. The markers are a pretty good indicator. If you're taking any fire from the Banshees at all, turn your attention towards them immediately unless you have a more pressing threat like fuel rod grunts within close proximity. But the Banshees are definitely the bigger threat for the most part. Banshees typically will not attack you here. It's just in this opening part that you really need to worry about them.
That's it. Jammers
This is a
neutralized.
great area for being able to control where the Phantoms drop in. You'll really only have a few to worry about. One will pass by overhead and go to the center, so it'll ignore you completely. The others tend to stop right around where the previous jammer was. And the great thing about this is you have lots of cover. You can easily take out their main gun, and they don't typically use their secondary weapons against you. Not right here, at least. So we'll go ahead and finish this guy off. As you can see, here comes the Phantom. This is the one that's going to fly to the center. I like to go ahead and take out his main gun just for the heck of it. And here come the enemies from the previous wave. So now that Phantom is driving off pretty darn quickly. This guy does tend to use a secondary gun, but the ones who typically hang around where the jammer was only use their primary gun for the most part, or at least as I've observed. So take out these guys. Be very mindful of the grunts with the fuel rod guns. Again, you can still dodge them relatively quickly, but we're already taking a lot of fire from the elite. And that's never a good thing. You don't want to get EMP'd, especially with fuel rod grunts around. So here comes the Phantom. This is what I'm talking about. Just go for the main gun, and the secondary ones don't seem to shoot at you. I don't even see anyone manning them at the moment. Now, from what I can tell, the Rangers do not have shields quite as strong as the Warriors, so they should go down fairly easily. Yes, Warriors will show up to this battle, but not nearly as many. Primarily, it's just going to be Rangers. That elite's trying to run. He didn't get very far. Okay, here comes the next Phantom right here. Main gun is down, so the Phantom is no longer a threat to you. That's one of the other reasons I seem to like this area so much. That's where the Phantoms seem to typically land, whereas on the other side, they tend to land a little bit further up, and the battle can be a little bit more tricky to control. Missile pod blew up that Phantom. Pretty cool. By the way, watch out for the missile pods, because if there's a Banshee lurking anywhere near you and the missile pods decide, hey, that seems like a good target, they'll completely ignore you. UNSC at its finest. Well, it is piloted by their Marines, I suppose. Cortana does send you little quotes throughout this battle to indicate the waves. And of course, you'll also get an objective complete sign when you're on your last wave. And when there's only about 2 enemies left, you'll say something along the lines of almost done. And I'm not gonna lie, I almost am. So again, I'm just going to take my time here. Most of the opposition is gone. Your biggest threats that are lingering around are Banshees. But with the opposition right now, as small as it is, you should be able to keep your eyes out for them. Not that big of a deal. Alright, so the objective is complete at this point. There will be no additional waves of enemies. So just take your time. The one thing you have to do now, once you've cleared this place out, is hit that activation button, but I can tell you, you are not home free just because that thing lights up. Man, those Covenant cruisers are getting torn up. So I'm going to make my way over to this activation switch. Let me tell you, it would suck to die right here. This is the end of the mission. Typically, you don't have to worry about anything else at this point, but you can be taken off guard. All it takes is one direct hit from a Banshee fuel rod, and that's it. And he just spent the last 45 minutes for nothing. So I'm keeping an eye on this guy right here. I think I'll make him... Was that... Oh. Okay. We'll give it a shot. Go. Now quickly. Oh. Yeah. Okay, now get back into the Mac gun quickly. I knew he was going to do that. I have no shields right now. Clear the skies first. Oh, 1, 2 Banshees. Oh, man. Really? Alright, and the Didac ship is leaving. Just gotta stay alive just for a few more seconds. And you were done. That is... Whoa, and why are you shooting at that? Oh, wow. Almost... Yeah, I was almost done there for a second. Alright, that is Halo 4 Infinity on Mythic Difficulty. One of the hardest missions in the game. If you like this, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. And please stay tuned for the halo.bungie.org written portion of the guide. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.